Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome to Cultural Communication Confidence with me, Victoria Reynoldson. And I'm really excited to have on the show today Licca, who's joining me from IKEA, from Sweden. And I've known Licca a very long time, and I was really excited to invite her to the show today to tell us more about her leadership journey and her own experiences with leadership communication and cultural intelligence. So, Licca, very warm welcome.
Thank you so much, Victoria. I'm very, very glad to be here, and thank you having me here.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, first of all, it'd be really great if you could just tell everybody, the listeners, a little bit about your role within IKEA.
I've been with IKEA for many years, over 27 years, and now I'm leading the global growth and marketing function. So basically, I'm leading the global commercial team for IKEA retail.
Fantastic. And I know that the time that short time that I've known you, you've progressed a lot on your leadership journey on that way. But I'm really curious about the different stages of your career and journey towards leadership. Could we start there? And could you tell us a little bit about that? And how did you kind of come to this particular role now?
First of all, thank you for asking me this question. It also makes me reflect my journey for the past decades. I think if I put a long story short, I think my leadership journey actually started from with a true passion. So this passion, actually, the passion and the purpose make who I am today. So I love to be part of something bigger. I love to make things better. And also, I love to shape the future rather than just reacting to it. So also, I think I'm a person always believe in possibilities. So that is the core mindset I think shaped how I grow into leadership. And I don't follow a linear path. Instead, I'm a person keeps saying yes to responsibility, to complexity, and also keep saying yes to people. So that is me. And I also think in the past uh, 20 years, I believe I'm a dreamer. I always want to create something which never existed before, but I also am an achiever. So I follow through. I walk my talk. I hold myself to a high standard in everything I do. So leadership actually for me has been always show up with the purpose, but also show up with the big heart of bringing people together. So that is how I build the system, teams, and impact.
Wow, there's so much there I want to talk to you about because, from the first moments you started to talk about sort of your passion and purpose. And a lot of what drives you is that idea of possibilities and future orientation. But I also heard you talk there about saying yes to possibilities. How has that played out in your career by saying yes?
Well, I think by saying yes, meaning also like you believe there is always a way, especially when things getting complex and difficult. And for me, I also think my leadership journey has been divided in different phases. The first yes, I'm saying yes to the tasks. So I'm a doer, and I take responsibilities. And when people give me responsibility, I give them back with reliability and quality. So this is I think this is the basic part of my, if I'm thinking about the growth journey. And then I become a connector. I think we discussed a lot in the past because I think if you want to lead with more impact, you should have the capabilities to connect ideas, connect people, and then also connect resources in order to make a bigger. And then I also moved to the next phase where this in this phase, I got a lot of support from you, Victoria. I think then you need to become a communicator. So you should you lead through communication to bring the clarities, to align people with the directions, but also very important to envision the possibilities, which many people don't see at that time. So I see also the communicator, it's another level of being a leader. And then we need to become an imaginator, especially when you lead a global team. And my role is not only respond to the current business performance, but also about create a future that for the many generations to come continue to develop and grow. So that also require me to also be an imaginator, to imagine the future. But also, I think these 4 steps I just described, it's not saying that now I'm only the imaginator. I'm always as a doer, connector, communicator, and imaginator. So I keep jump from one box to another. So this is also, I've been reflecting my leadership journey as the fantastic question you asked me, Victoria.
This is brilliant. And I love how you've really framed this in the idea of the fact that you have to play different roles and actually want to play those different roles. And I know from what I know of you as well, Licca, how hard you do work. And then that sense of real commitment to action is a core part of who you are. But that is really interesting with then the idea of being an imaginator and really creating the future for generations to come is the phrase you used, which is incredibly powerful. We're not talking about the next 3 years or 5 years, but you're talking about generational impact. So I'm really curious that particular balance between doing and commitment to action and then imaginating and creating. These are not easy to balance, particularly as a leader. How do you personally create that balance? Because it is something I know that people often struggle with, particularly as they're growing their leadership abilities.
This is really hard to balance. I'm still also on my learning journey, but I think that there's something really essential is about, as a leader, you always start from your core value. And my core value, for instance, is I always believe there is a better way. And I also believe, as a leader, you should have the capabilities to look down to the root cause rather than on the symptoms, especially in the time we are in. The world becomes so challenging, and there's a lot of complexities pump up every day. So, I have to learn, and also together with my team, to understand, how much time we allocate to fix the problems here and now, but always, take all this fixed problem experience as the one tactic to build the future strategies, because you should always believe that symptoms is because of something deep inside the root cause. And if you want to solve the root cause, that require you to have a completely different approach. So this is the area you need to imagine and how you make things better in a much more powerful way. If you just repeat what you are doing every day, that won't happen.
I think that's really wise because actually we are recording this at a time when there's huge volatility happening across a number of different factors in the world. And every leader, I suspect, is facing this right now, whether they are current leader or future leadership. And actually, that is a really kind of good thought around actually not just staying at the symptom level and dealing with the here and now and reacting what's going on, but actually getting deeper to the root causes and be able to then make the impact and changes for the future. I really like that frame on that. So thank you so much for that, Licca, because I think that's very helpful at this particular moment. Yeah, and I was kind of really curious in this idea of connector, being a connector as well, because I can see how important that is for you. I know you're working with global teams everywhere, and you're often sort of traveling and leading teams across the world. How has that changed for you over time, the idea of being a connector? And, now in this current moment, again, has anything changed in the way that you approach that or do that now?
I think being a connector is also start from that you believe you are part of something bigger. And you believe that there's so many great people and great initiatives around you. And as a leader, your role is not make your own ideas shine through, but your role is to make something bigger. And then you should have your fundamental belief that people make things bigger. Therefore, your role, and also as a leader, we have this privilege that we are able to see many dots. We are able to, find out many great ideas, many great people across globe. And my responsibility and also motivation is I often say I'm a bridge builder. I build the bridge in order to connect the ideas, connect people, because fundamentally, you believe that people, the diversity, the people make things better and bigger, not individual, but collectively. Yeah.
I love that idea of being a bridge builder. And that idea also that the collective delivers something bigger than the individuals within it.
Mm.
And, the other sort of element, which I'm always very curious about, is the cultural nuances of communication within this, because this is often where the two meet, the cultural kind of dynamics, the communication. I'm really interested how that sort of plays out for you, because again, I know you're leading very diverse teams, both within your team within Sweden, but also around the world. So how is that how have you experienced that, the sort of cultural dynamics of communication?
I think this is also a great learning journey for me from working in China and then moved to Sweden and leading a very very dynamic and diverse team. I think we're often talking about cultural intelligence, and my learning is cultural intelligence. It's not only a mindset but also a heart set.
Oh, I
So
love that
actually,
heart set. Tell me more
yes.
about that.
No, I think the heart set is it come from always begin with your curiosity about the difference,
Mm.
curiosity without judgment, and you just want to know more, and you want to understand more. That is the starting point, and then there are some capabilities and the skill set you should learn in order to understand the difference, but also very important to embracing the difference. And and also I think as a leader, I have to say that the cultural intelligence is also about by embracing the difference, by understanding the difference, but also you need to sometimes to understand you cannot lose your own center. So it is a combination. It is always a combination of the both sides.
So I hear you talking there about not just mindset, but heart set. I love that phrase. I think that's a really powerful phrase for me and says a lot about how you are as a person and your energy that you bring into those interactions. But I also
Yes.
heard you say something very interesting there at the end about not, well, if I sort of paraphrase, not over adapting, but recognizing who you are and the strengths that you bring. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, yes, because very often, sometimes, when you are in a very dynamic environment, and also you want to, because we need to invite everybody in, and we need to, as a leader, really truly listening to and building on what each culture or individual brings. But also very, very important that you also cannot lose your own centers. Stay true with who you are, what you stand for. And because your team also waiting for your clarities, your directions. So this is a good combination. It's not either or. It is truly about both ends.
Excellent. I love that idea. And I think that's a really nice way of putting it to get the balance right, to make sure that it's not, as you say, that choice between the two. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm really kind of interested, you've talked about what you need to be or what leaders need to be to have that, develop that cultural intelligence, that the mindset, the heart set, the balance between not losing yourself and your center. But as a team, more broadly, what does it take as individuals within a team to really work effectively globally in this way, to work across cultures? Is there something about the whole team that they need to do, or is it the same as you just described for the leader?
No, I think this is also very important that I think as a leader, if you are truly believe in this diversity will bring more strength. You are truly curious and about the different cultures and different individuals, and if you are truly believe that will, bring a very, very important value to the whole, then you should lead by example, and your team will also learn from you. So the starting point is the leader should lead by example to invite everybody into the conversation, to invite everybody in the collaboration and the co-creation. And then, of course, I think this is the culture and the environment you need to build, but you need to build together with your team members. So I think this is contagious. If one person take a smaller step, then the more people will follow and take even bigger steps. That create a great dynamic and environment in
That's
your team.
fantastic. This is
Mm.
great. And I like that idea as well, that it's the leader's example that creates the dynamic with others. That means, therefore, that they also are able to follow that example of that behavior. And I'm really interested to follow up, though, with a question that sometimes it doesn't always go according to plan. And there are challenges and there are interactions where people are having challenging conversations where they're not able to easily resolve the differences that are going on. I'm really interested when you're facing these kinds of situations, the challenging conversations or difference of opinion. How do you help move people through this? How do you help find the ways to lead through these kind of situations?
It's a very, very good question. Thank you, Victoria. Well, I think, you know, people have different opinions, and there's sometimes we're stuck in a meeting or a conversation. This happens almost every day, right? I think in any organizations, and it almost happened every day. Very important and very fundamental thing is I think we need to create a safe environment, so make people dare to express their opinions. dare to express their beliefs and feel also it is okay to do that. I think that is a fundamental thing. Otherwise, you will only listen, or people will only say what they think you would like to listen. That will not help the team move forward, will not help the business move forward. So this is the first part. It's like I, because especially when you're leading a very diverse and a creative team, I often use this like as a leader, you should open up first, meaning that you should let everybody have the opportunities and feel safe to share their point of view. And also make sure that they feel they are seen and heard. And then also at a certain moment, you need to close, meaning that we need to also have this adult to adult conversation and to agree to disagree. And then clear roles and responsibilities and a clear mandate towards a decision maker plays a very important role. And so this is like you should be very clear that at a certain moment, we cannot continue the conversation or even debate. We need to move on. Then we give the full mandate to the people who are responsible for this decisions. And also very important, we should always address there's a difference between alignment and agreement. We probably cannot agree on everything, but we need to align on and respect the decisions which has been made. And we all support on those decisions and move forward. And of course, afterwards, we could have another session of reflection learnings, and we can find out together a better way. But this is how I work, at least at the workplace.
I find this really powerful. And thank you so much for sharing this, Licca, because I hear you talking about the difference between alignment and agreement and how important that is to actually recognize, to acknowledge, and to understand what's happening in the room. I also particularly liked your idea and concept of knowing as a leader when to open up, but also when there needs to be a closing in and a conclusion to the conversation. And that really sounds like an art rather than a skill, as in it's not like you always will know. It's a feeling, I can imagine, an intuition about the right time to do that. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
I really found that very powerful. So thank you so much for sharing this. Licca, I've always really enjoyed our conversations and I've always learned a lot about leadership from you. But I'm very curious about a leader that's inspired you yourself on your journey, whether that was somebody you worked with or somebody in the public field. So I'm really kind of interested whether you have anybody you can share that you can describe and why they were inspirational to you.
Yes, I think, being in IKEA for 20 plus years, I think if you ask me one reason why I stay with this company, I think I meet great leaders who inspired me. That is the reason. And also, I met great leaders who dare to take risk on me. I think that is so this question make me now feel a little bit emotional because there's so many vivid faces now in front of me. And I inspired by many great leaders and who are the visionary leaders who dare to make bold decisions, who has a great combination, who can combine strengths with softness. So what that means, it's like they have clear vision and they are so strong and dare to make bold and difficult decisions but they are still lead with empathy. So those combination always inspired me. And yeah, and also I'm inspired by the leader through their actions, not just the words. And I think they inspired me on how they treat people. As I said, they trust people. They dare to take risk on people. And in order to provide others a big stage to shine. And also the leaders who inspired me a lot is who can communicate with clarity, care, and courage.
I love that. The clarity, care, and courage. And I also hear this word dare coming up a lot for you. This idea that a leader not only dares in themselves, but they also dare to take risks with other people, that they understand the potential of other people. And that is, something that I find really interesting as a concept and idea, to going beyond the normal, going to beyond the ordinary to the extraordinary. And I find that concept really fascinating, this idea of daring. Thank you so much for expressing it so well, this idea.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, it's really kind of striking a chord with me. And it makes me think as well a little bit about, thinking back to this current moment when we're recording and how volatile the world is. It sometimes is quite difficult to look beyond the here and now. But I can see that a huge part of what excites you and motivates you is about possibilities of the future. So thinking about that, thinking about leadership and how it's evolving and how leaders need to be in the future, do you see anything new coming through that leaders need to perhaps lean into more, or new skills or new ways of being that they need more than ever to be successful?
Yes, I do. I do see there's something, maybe it's nothing new, but for me become even more important, especially in this really, really challenging time where we're living in. I think one thing is about as a leader, you need to have a super clear inner clarities. And so I think here it's inner clarities. I mean, it's you need to anchor it. You need to anchor it in your value. And I often say that as a leader, we need to put a being before doing. So we are human being, and then we're human doing, right? So you need to put a being before the doing. And especially when everything is changing around you, and you need to really ground yourself and with your true values, that will directly impact on the decision you make. Yeah, the words you use, and even your tone of voice, especially when you deal with the difficulties. And then I think it's about, I talk about first is inner clarity, and then it's your outer expression. And here it's very much related to the communication. We've been talk a lot, Victoria, in the past months and years. I think especially in the time we're in, how you as a leader can translate the purpose into actions become very, very crucial. And also because now we're like right on the roller coaster. So when people feel down, how can you cheer them up? How when people feel stuck, how can you envision the possibilities? And how can you also help people see where we are going and why it matters? So that comes from this outer expression. And the last is about emotional intelligence. And as we just discussed, how you make people feel safe, seen, and make people feel strong and make them feel bigger, especially when they are around you. How
Mm.
you can make space for others, but also at the meantime hold your own ground. So I believe those can create the connections and the influence.
Yeah. And I really like the way you frame this as we are human beings first before we're human doing. I think that's a very, like, very clear insight around how you think about this and how you create those spaces to have people around you who do feel this sense of being seen and acknowledged and heard. And I'm going to ask him maybe a little bit of a personal question now, but you talked about as a leader, it is your responsibility to translate vision into something that is meaningful to others. It's also your responsibility to help others, particularly when they're in moments of struggle or challenge. But as leaders, we are all individuals as well, right? So the idea and the question I've really got for you, I suppose, is I'm really curious, whether you feel able to share here now, maybe some of the things that you do as a human to ground yourself so you can be the best version of your leadership.
I think that is also back to what I just shared with you. I think for me, the fundamental thing is you should always be super clear about your own inner clarities.
Mm-hmm.
What motivates you? What is your core value? And when you get stuck, when you feel so disappointed sometimes or so confused, go back to your core values. Ask what inspires you the most. And you can choose to put your intentions on the things which motivate you, inspired you, or you also can choose to put your intentions on the things which dry your energies or frustrate you. So at the end, it's a choice
Mm.
you made. And that the starting point is your inner clarities. Understand your core values. But also sometimes as a human being, you need to find someone you feel super safe, just download,
Yeah.
whatever, inside of you. And my husband is the one, the lucky one. And I always can find someone just to download everything. And then while you talk to somebody, actually you're talking to yourself. You hear yourself, and then you need to. I always talk to myself, Licca, especially in the challenging time or when I start. I ask myself to make a choice. So there is always something good, motivating. And I choose to focus, not saying I'm blind to the things, not super well. No, I see both, but I
Mm.
can choose where I put my intentions and focus on. Hmm.
And I hear that really strongly that for you, it's about your inner compass and your values, but also about those active choices. Even at times when it feels challenging, there's a choice of what you look at, where you put your energy, where you take the next steps. And I think that's really interesting concept as well that, we all need, no matter how senior somebody is, we all need those ways of grounding ourselves, of downloading or being able to process what we're going through, right? As well. So I really like, thank you so much for sharing that very personal insight into how you manage, because I think that's sometimes something that people worry about, the loneliness of leadership sometimes. How do you deal with the huge responsibilities and the big things that are going on, the big challenges that are going on? And I think you've provided some really concrete examples there. So thank you, Licca.
You're
I know
welcome.
that I know that people listening will be at very different stages of their career. Some will be already senior leaders themselves, some are developing leaders, and some are actually very much at the beginnings of their career journey, but very ambitious and aspiring. If you were thinking about sort of sharing some final words of wisdom, some final advice about what it means or what you need to be an effective leader today, what would you be saying to these people listening here?
Very good question. I think, I have a lot to say, but if I just, now give like a one summary, um, I think often in a company, when we measure the leadership, we say that from lead yourself to lead a team, then to lead an organization. And in my earlier time at the company, I think this is the ladder to climb. So once you can lead the organization, meaning you are senior leaders. And when you lead yourself, you are kind of a junior one. But now I see the completely different. I see the core is how you lead yourself. And that is also back to my inner compass, inner clarity. I think become a stronger and better yourself. Live and work with true passion and a true purpose. That will give you a lot of strength, which you cannot imagine yourself even. And that also help you to navigate and resolve any challenges in front of you, as long as that connect with your true passion, your true purpose. So I would say, like, no matter which stage are you in now, believe lead yourself is the core for the way forward. And lead yourself is not only can benefit how successful you are in the workplace, but also what a life you want to live with. So I just want to emphasize that.
I love that broader concept of leadership, which is really about starting throughout leading yourself. But also, I loved how you brought this back to where we started here today, which is purpose and passion, knowing what it is that drives you and motivates you. And I think this has been a very strong thread through our conversation here today. Licca, thank you so much for joining me here. I've really greatly enjoyed this conversation, and I've learned a lot myself personally. I know our listeners will be deeply inspired by your words and different views on leadership and what it means to be a leader today. Thank you so much for joining me here. And, I really appreciate you coming and spending some time sharing these insights with me.
Thank you, Victoria, for inviting. And likewise, I always learn a lot every time when we talk. And I'm so glad if I can share something and somebody can get some insight and inspiration from this conversation. So it's a great pleasure.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much and look forward to seeing everybody next time on the show.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.